Phenomenal day to all the leaders out there on LinkedIn. Come on in. We are live. The Transformational Edge, Leading Behind Limits, Series 3 takes place now. Listen, man, if you're a leader, man, and you passionate about leadership, I want to encourage you right now to stop what you're doing, tag a friend, share the page, and come into the live and add your voice on today's perspective, man. We're talking the transformational edge. My name is Dwayne Roberts, and guys, I am excited to be with you today. We're gonna bring Gary in and let Gary get us started, and we're gonna get this thing moving.
All right. Thanks, Dwayne. And hello, everybody. Thanks for joining. It is a privilege to be here. The last 2 days have been fire, quite frankly. And I added a couple charcoals, but the group that we have here, it turned into a bonfire. So we're so glad that you're with us. And if you missed those, you can go back to the site, and those are on the recording. And I want to thank Bridget Brown Jackson, my friend, and Dwayne, it's hard to follow your wonderful voice, but I'm going to give it a shot. And we're going to go around, just introduce, and for some of you, it'll be reintroduce who you are. And I am going to start with my friend Martha Davidson, who is actually going to have to step out because she's got her own fire drill going on. But Martha, why don't you take it away and just tell us who you are and what's going on?
Hello, everyone. It has been absolutely amazing 2 days, and I am really, really honored to be with these transformational leaders. I also wanted to give a shout out to Dr. Patricia Rogers for watching and also engaging in the conversation. I appreciate you doing that. And I just wanted to come in. I am Martha Davidson, the founder of Empowering Minds Now, where I serve high achieving women who desire a seat in the C-suite. And I have a couple of items I want to discuss. And one is that I am honored to be able to tell you about a book that will be released in first quarter of 2024. It's called Rising Above Limits, Leading Today for Tomorrow's World. It talks about almost everything that we hit on in these past few days. So you can reach me at my website, empoweringminds.com, and let me know that you're interested in getting the book. And again, like I said, it'll be out the first quarter of 2024. It was a collaboration with the renowned Dr. Samani. She's a leader, global leader and influencer. So happy to be able to be a part of this collaborative with her. Additionally, I just wanted to say that I have an opportunity that I'd like to share. I actually am going to London in December. I have been selected to receive an award from the Guinness World Record, and it's about being in 2023 being a world changer. So I'm excited about that, and also will be receiving an award from the London Organization Skill Development, which has a platform similar to a leadership platform that I also will have courses on, but I also was selected as the best mentor in 2023. So excited to share that news with you, and also wanted to let you know that I am your transformational leader that focuses on women having a seat in the C-suite. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Martha. Appreciate you and the gifts that you have brought the last couple of days. So we know you have to go, and we'll miss you today, but hope your day goes great.
Thank
Congratulations.
you. Thank you. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. So maybe I'll kick it back to Dwayne, and then we'll go to C after Dwayne. Dwayne, just who you are and your background a little bit. Yeah, I think you're on mute.
Thank you. Good catch. Listen, I'm an influencer. I'm interactive. I'm passionate about people. I'm an inspirational speaker and male empowerment coach. I my goal is to help empower men of faith to overcome limiting beliefs and find the confidence to walk out their God-given purpose through authenticity leadership. I'm a podcast host of a phenomenal podcast called the Leader Shift Podcast, where we just bring great leaders in to help influence and empower men to take charge of their life. I'm excited about being here. Thank you, Gary, for the opportunity. And Bridget, thank you.
Thank you, Dwayne. Great to have you. And C. Morgan, how about letting everybody know who you are?
Hey, everyone. Thank you. I am a leadership and team strategist. I empower individuals and teams to unlock their full potential through targeted professional and personal development and actually leveraging their cutting edge methodologies and evidence-based practices into transforming the organization in better ways to communicate, collaborate, and achieve success.
That is great. And I have seen you demonstrate your emotional intelligence. We'll be talking about that again on this program. So thanks. Janice Allen Jackson, I hear you may be related to somebody named Bridget Brown Jackson, but you can explain all that.
She is my honorary cousin by marriage.
How about that?
Thank you so much for this opportunity. This has been a wonderful series. As Gary mentioned earlier, if you missed the first 2 days, please go back. They're still posted on our LinkedIn pages, and I think it's on my personal Facebook page as well. I am the owner and principal of Janice Allen Jackson and Associates. We provide leadership and organizational development services, as well as strategic services and executive search to local government and nonprofit organizations. I am also the host of the Local Matters podcast of Georgia. So please subscribe to us on YouTube. We cover state and local government topics, and we cover community topics, and we just help people become more civically engaged and more confident voters. And I'm also doing speaking. So anytime you have workshops, particularly related to women in leadership roles, I've got 30 plus years of executive level experience, and I love to share benefit of that with others who can indeed learn something from what I have learned over those 30 years.
That's wonderful. So Janice, you don't sleep in very much, do you?
No,
I didn't think so. Well, that is rich. That is rich. Thank you for that. And your honorary cousin, our leader here on this podcast, Bridget Brown Jackson, say a little bit about who you are.
Hey, everybody. My name is Bridget Brown Jackson. Listen, I am the CEO and founder of Exponential Edge Ventures, where anytime my team, my firm comes in to do training and development, we make sure it's an edu-venture. As a result of our training and development, we help high-performing business leaders be able to get the results that they want as far as strong, effective teams, executing with the mission and vision with fidelity, because of the fact that we use their leverage, what they have, which is their personalities, to make sure that you can grow and develop your team. I consider myself a transformational leader. You know why? Because I stood on the shoulders of giants, of others that were. And so again, my organization loves to help people reduce team the attrition, the staff attrition, that turnover. We don't want to turnover. We want you to keep your people. So that's what I do in a nutshell, Gary, and I'm excited about this topic today.
It is a great topic, and thank you. And just for a minute, I'm Gary Hibbs, and I am the new founder, brand new, just in the last couple of weeks, of Unleashed to Lead. I got my LLC and everything, but before that, I started out as an attorney working with older adults, and then had a career in the C-suite working as an operator, most recently with Erickson Senior Living, and love what I've done, and fell in love with this leadership. As you can see, yep, there's my cell phone number. Text me directly. That'd be great. Would love to hear from you. But to be with a group of people as we are here today, who just have a passion for what they do, it's just so, it is inspiring. We've talked about yesterday, we really hit that word inspire. What is inspirational leadership? And I've been inspired just being with people who are like minded, who have a passion for this leadership space. The first day we talked about, at a high level, defining what the essence of transformational leadership is, and how to get going. If this is a new concept to you, then you're in the right place, because the people that are with us here today have gone through that and want to offer the gift of their insights, their experience to you. So, we talked about some successes in transformational leadership. And then the second day, we talked about emotional intelligence. Daniel Goleman came out with a book almost 30 years ago about this whole idea of not just IQ, not just your intelligence, but your EQ, what's your emotional quotient. And that is critical in transformational leadership. So we hit that pretty hard yesterday. But the third day, we're going to talk about a theme of not just what it is and how you start down that journey of being an inspiring leader, but how do you sustain it? One of the things that I've heard over and over again, and I like sports, so you've got to be familiar with the Super Bowl. They talk about in professional football, it's one thing to win one Super Bowl, but how do you sustain that? How do you have teams like the New England Patriots? If you're familiar, you must have heard of Tom Brady and that team that do it year in and year out. How do you not only implement, but how do you sustain transformational leadership? And that's what our focus is going to be on today. What are the practical strategies for sustaining that kind of a culture and that kind of leadership and transformation? So I'm gonna throw that open to the group at that level. How do you not only define, implement, but sustain a culture of transformational leadership? So let me open it up to my colleagues here on the panel.
The first thing that I thought about, Gary, was what you reward. You get what you reward, typically. So as you go through your performance review process, merit raises, bonuses, those sorts of things in your organization, if that is what you reward, that is what you're going to get. I also thought about this notion of not punishing people. On the other end, there's not punishing people when they may fail. Yesterday, you made the point about sometimes you do fail, and the challenge as a leader is to get back up when you do. Don't punish people when they fail. Reward them for having made the try and giving them the freedom to continue to try. I thought about when we were kids, one of my favorite things my mother used to say, and my mother was an educator as well. One of the things that she used to say was, she always talked about the little train that could. I think I can. I think I can. I know I can. I know I can. And once you get one of those successes, you get one success under your belt, you realize you really can, and you can build upon that. And that gives you and your team more confidence to continue moving forward in ways that may be out of the traditional box, but will indeed benefit the organization and its internal and external customers.
Well, that is great, Janice. Yeah, because if we live in a culture of fear, and we talked about that yesterday, if you're afraid that you're going to fail, you're not going to try, and we want to build that culture of creativity and innovation, and as Brene Brown said in her book, daring greatly, so you go out there and do some great things. And one more point, and then I'll throw it back to my colleagues is, I love the performance review. For so long, I know I didn't do performance reviews that involve cultural pieces in there. Cultural pieces are a little softer. You know it when you see it. You know it when you feel it. But how do you reward people, as you said, who are behaving consistently and even beyond because they get it? They're meeting people emotionally. So I love that. It should be in the performance review, not just the hard, did you meet your budget? That's important.
Right, exactly.
But did you behave well and inspire people? Thanks, Janice, for that. Let me open it back up.
I was trying to be, considerate, because I love to talk, y'all. Y'all know that minister in me and that leader in me. But I would say I love what Janice said, and I'm going to come back to that later on, because I got some closing pieces that I want to talk about what she just said. But the one of the things, if you want to sustain that I consider, and it's probably because that is my behavior preference, relationships. So I'm designed all around relationships. I'm very, very people oriented in my personality, in my behavior preference. And so building those strong relationships are so very important when you are a transformational leader. You got to keep on doing that if you want to sustain it. You have to build that culture up within the organization, that it's okay to do that. And a lot of times old school was, we had business, you might have business meetings and things like that with people off the clock and during that time, but it still was all so structured. But if we look at high performing organizations right now, they spend time with each other, they build on those relationships to impact and make sure that they're making a influence within the whole entire group and everything. And so all of that extra time, because when I get to know you at the core, and now we can really do some things. But then I also put in there that make sure that there's safety. Yeah, and again, I don't want to keep on going. We talk about that a little bit the other day, but I just want to always bring that back. It has to be safety, but you're not going to get safety if you don't build out those relationships. And they come with one of my favorite things that I teach when I go into organizations and deal with people is the 5 dysfunctions of a team by Patrick Lencioni. Literally, if you don't have trust at the bottom, you can't get to the results that you want, because everything is on that foundation of trust. And that starts with the human element, which is building those strong relationships. I'm done.
No, you're not done. I want you to keep going. I love hearing you speak. You mentioned time, and as a general principle, we can't overall be efficient with people. We need to spend time. So I love that you drove that home. Thanks, Bridget. Who's next?
I do say that what I do agree with all you have said. One thing for me is the cultivating leadership pipeline to keep that sustainability. You want to develop your future leaders who embody the transformational qualities that you want to see in their visions too. And it can be achieved, through the mentorship programs, leadership training, providing opportunities for the staff, to take leadership roles in smaller projects. Because that will foster safety. It will give them the confidence that they can do that and also replicate what is currently being done. But also, I think another one is also fostering a resilient organizational culture. That culture to be resilient internal and externally. As you foster and you become more, it takes away some of those shocks, as we're saying, the ability to fail, to be comfortable to fail, to make that first attempt. So it involves developing those strategies to deal with crisis and ensuring that the organization can adapt and thrive in some of those challenging circumstances, because everyone at some point in time, they do say, am I going to have my job? Am I measuring up? Or am I, like you're saying, some of that feedback, Gary, and some of those feedbacks you give in the performance, what they're doing. So that adaptability to change also ensures those leaders they're equipped to deal with the changes in the business and make them comfortable. Like, we can do this no matter what. We're flexible in all the approaches, and we're being open to the feedback and new ideas to progress forward.
Ooh, I love that. Yeah. Thank you. Dwayne, you were jumping in.
I was. See, Morgan snatched every word out of my mouth. So I'm gonna ditto that, right? But I'm gonna just give it a little bit more of a little bit more features to it. I say create the winning of environment or culture, right? Create that MVP atmosphere. We all want to be champions. We all want to be winners, right? So what's that? Who wants to be the MVP player for the organization, right? But what do I mean by the MVP? Oftentimes we think we want to be the most valuable player. No, let's focus on the mission, the vision, and purpose. What are we bringing to the table, and how can we create alignment, right? And I think organizations, to maintain transformation and implement it for long term, we got to be clear on those goals, right? We're going to have to go ahead and challenge some people throughout the process. We're going to have to really build that roadmap and be willing. And I like what C. Morgan said, but I say it a little different. Let's navigate them pain points, right? Let's find out some of those challenges and how we can overcome them. So that's how I sum it up. We want to create a winning atmosphere. We're going to have the MVP attitude where we align ourselves when I'm and what I mean by that is the team development piece, the personal growth and the growth mindset as individuals or leaders. We get this personal development implemented in our organization, and we encourage leaders to have a growth mindset. Therefore, they could bring their best game to the table.
Yeah, I love that. You said pain points. We have to acknowledge those pain points, no doubt about it. We've got to be honest. We've all been in situations where the leader is, you wonder if the leader just landed from some other planet because they're saying everything's wonderful, everything's great. Meanwhile, I'm in the trenches bleeding, and what are you talking about? Everything's great. Are you seeing the blood on me? And I think we have to be honest, and pain points, Wayne, acknowledging those, being honest. And see, you brought up the word change, and we've all heard the saying that change is the one constant. An interesting saying, and we have to change to grow, to what's been said. Let me ask you all this, and I'll throw out this question: change being the one constant, how do we implement change? How do we suggest change? How do we deal with change in order to sustain a good culture of transformational leadership?
Two thoughts. I got one thought is people have to see what's in it for them. So I have seen instances where I felt like leadership was making change just to say they had made a change, or in some instances, unfortunately, to make the previous leadership look bad. It was like, oh yeah, they didn't know what they were doing, so I got to change everything. And they then think they look smarter or whatever because they changed something that maybe didn't, maybe was working. So, but that gets into a whole nother negative, survival sort of mindset that I've seen manifest itself from time to time. Also, though, in addition to helping people understand it as something for them, I had an instance where I was making a major change in an organizational structure. And it had been the practice of that particular organization before I got there to make big pronouncements whenever they made a change. And I was talking to one of the department directors that was involved in this change, and he was one that actually was going to lose, so to speak. He lost status. He went from being a department director to something below that in this change. But he had bought into it because he realized he was going to get more resources to serve his customer base. So I was talking to him one day, turned out to be, one of the best folks. A lot of times too, we learn from the people who work for us. I think everybody knows that. He said, Janice, I don't think we need to make a big announcement about this. I think if we make a big announcement, our customers will find something to be mad about or something to protest. I think we should just let it happen very quietly. And before they know it, the services will be improving and they'll realize that they haven't lost anything. So I took his advice and it worked just that way. The customers would come in, they say, oh, it's not the Department of Veterans Affairs anymore. You mean now it's in Community Support Services? Well, how long ago did y'all do that? And it'd be like, oh, yeah, we did it 2 months ago. Oh, okay. And it just went straight on through. And they're like, oh yeah, I like this because I'm getting my service faster, So there are ways to do things, but you have to convince people, hey, this really is better for your customer base. And that was why this particular department director bought into it, because his department was so small that he really didn't have the resources. He didn't have the administrative support, didn't have the facilities, et cetera, et cetera. But when he joined in with that other organization, he picked up a lot of things he didn't have. And therefore, his customers got better service. So you got to keep them focused on, the eyes on the prize as we speak.
The eyes on the prize. I love that. And a lot of times that prize is what's in it for me. And Bridget Brown Jackson, you had saw mention that in the comments. So why don't you expound on that for a minute?
Yeah, I put up here, Gary. This is, we learn this in the business world out there as you're marketing and everything. People don't want to hear about your stuff. They want to know what's in it for them or me. And so that WIIFM in our world in marketing, sometimes we call that, that's the radio station that people are listening to. They're going to buy in when they see what's in it for them. Me being an educator, I saw that in the classroom when I first started. My students would do anything for me when they understood how much that it was about them and not so much about what I was trying to teach or my agenda. And so when I became a leader, the same thing. The teachers, when they understood that you have their best interest at heart, what's in it for them, they're willing to go the miles for you. And so you ask that question about change. If you're going to have change, you have to have a culture that is okay with change, being flexible and everything. And so innovation is a part of that. Every place that I've been, in every place that I've seen prosper and grow, one of the things that happens is the fact that literally you're going to need risk takers. You don't want people that are okay. And then as Janice started it out, I told you I was coming back to it, Janice started it out and she talked about that. Like, okay, if you're going to say this is a risk-taking environment, then what happens when failure happens? What happens when mistakes happen?
That's right.
What happens when you don't hit that mark that you were supposed to hit? Is it going to be safety there? And so innovation is very important if you're going to have change, because that innovation is going to create a culture of empowerment if you have the right change mindset. And that just hits it. I'm gonna go ahead and let somebody else talk, but I'm gonna come back to it because I told y'all I love having these conversations.
That's a great insight. And I just saw somebody said that's good in the comment section. That is good. Because if we're not on the right frequency, we're going to sound like Charlie Brown's teacher, right? Like wah 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 wah. If we are not dialed in and at the same place, and that's what good communication is. You have common ground. You're at the same place. So thank you for that insight. Who's next on that idea of change and how you do that to sustain?
I wanted to go ahead and go on with what they've said. You have said, that strategic communication, which you touched on. You're developing that communication strategy that reinforces the organization's values and their goals, meeting people where they are, but understanding them that creativity. So when you have, like we said, that communication aspect of them regular updates, that transparent sharing of information, you ensure that all the communication is consistent with the organization's goals, what they have, and it lets them know that they're not trying to hide everything. When we are doing change, we oftentimes hear it's for the benefit of the company, for the benefit of you. But if you have them actually included in it, so you have the value-based decisions that you're going through and making, you ensure that all the decisions are made together. You not just from the top leadership, you strategically do it from on the operation levels to the ones that are, as we say, in the trenches. So it's made in alignment with those organization core values. But you're also saying, hey, I want your help doing this. I want you to help maintain our integrity. I want you to help maintain that trust among everyone, not just stakeholders, because all of you are the stakeholders in the organization, in our leadership, and the qualities that you bring, you lead by example. So we want to be consistent and demonstrate that those behaviors, those attitudes of positivity that reflect the values of ourselves and the organization leading together. So we set that standard.
Yeah.
For ourselves, for the employees. So we, as you guys are saying, we create that culture that embodies those values of all, not just one. So that employee involvement setting actually branches out more. It creates more of, we are doing this together. We are being heard. And that's important too, the voices being heard as the change is going on, that you are taking that into consideration. And you're committing to the team members when you say we are a whole, we are a team. And as Janice said before in the previous one, as a family, you're treating them like family, letting know that we do care what's going on. And that's important when people feel appreciated too, when you're doing change.
I love that. See, it's a piece of our dignity to be involved and to participate in, and change is really hard. Just a quick example. When I was a nursing home administrator, we were looking at process and workflow. Things as basic, with the workflow of a nursing assistant, where do you store, different things that they need on the floor to help with the residents. And, I, as the administrator, knew close to diddly squat in terms of the flow. I didn't know a whole lot about what they did. Who better to ask than a nursing assistant? And to reward them for participating in the change. Don't just say, we're going to change, where we put the linens. Have a nice day. Let them have some, and you come up with a richer experience. And to Bridget's point, what's in it for me? Better workflow. This is why we're doing. We didn't just do it to you; we did it with you,
Right.
and that's a whole different thing. So, Dwayne, I know you got something you're itching to say right now. You must.
I must be, huh? No, I love this. This is good. Being innovative, be a risk taker, right? Incorporate the stakeholders. I recently sat with a leader who shared with me that, and she was an educator, principal of a high school out of New York, where the high school graduation rate was less than 40%. And so she took an innovative approach. She brought the students in and held them accountable, made them stakeholders, and asked them, what do they really want for education? What would that really look like? They brought in implemented some new ideas for training, as well as resources and trips, like educational trips and things of that nature. But here was the thing that really got me. The stakeholders, the students did the hiring. They had an opportunity to interview with the interview process of the educators. And man, listen, when she explained this to me, I was flabbergasted that youth were really interested in their education. They want to learn. They want to surpass the standards, right? They want to get to the next level in life. And here's the increase. The school went from a below 40% graduation rate to over 87% graduation rate within the next 3 years because of taking this risk, being innovative in her approach for bringing transformation to the school. So, this is good stuff, bro.
Mm. Yeah,
Can
there's a
I
lot.
add something to that,
Yeah,
Gary, to what he just said?
yeah, go ahead, Bridget, jump in.
Listen, Dwayne, I actually did that when I was a principal. My school was a K-8. This actual school was a K-8. I let my 8th graders be a part of the hiring process one year. And the hires that we got that year were some of the best. But here's also what happened. Because of the students knew that they were a part of that change and a part of that process, they held those teachers to the fire when they came into the classroom too, to say, remember when you interviewed, you said blah 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 blah, and held them. And then the teachers a couple times had to, they kind of got offended a little bit. I was like, wait though. We want them to be a part of this. And again, that goes back to what we were talking about yesterday about emotional intelligence. That's a key piece. Now I understand and know, okay, I didn't just make a vow to come in here and do this, to myself, hidden behind closed doors. I did this. And so now I have to step up my leadership, because now these students are also holding me accountable. So that helps with my self-awareness. That helps with my self-awareness, regulation. Then that helps with my social skills. And so it just ended up being such a great thing. I didn't have the opportunity to do that again in my other buildings that I was in, but I love that. That really made a big difference. But again, goes back to what you just said, Gary. That was some transformational stuff even before I even knew all of this stuff existed. But also it started with change. What were we going to do different? Because we were tired of getting the same hires. So we did a whole restructure of our hiring process. And man, did we get quality after we did that.
And that's very true what you're saying. When you have people who feel their voice is being heard, as you're talking about the EQ part of it, they're preventing that emotion. Like we're saying, people can fit what you say, but not how you make them feel. So you even help them with their own education standards of what they want to learn. They feel there's not an authoritative there. So you create both of those changes. And like you said, it's great that early on mindset change, that I am important. Just because I'm a child, it still means that I can make a difference in everything.
And you could tell them anything. And it just not the ones that got to participate, the ones that didn't get to participate, we allowed them to participate in a different way. We had the teachers come in and do lessons, and then we allowed the students to give their feedback. They didn't just come and do a lesson and then the hiring team did their little thing behind the scenes. The students had, and do you know, after that, the scores started increasing. With that next year, literally, we were rewarded from the state of Michigan as being a school that was beating the odds just because of that change. And so it goes back to what you were saying here, Gary. Yeah, what's in it for me? When we have that kind of culture, we're going to build some amazing organizations.
Yeah, and a lot of it, the change is going to happen, more and more. I mean, there's a cost to not changing. I mean, John Kotter wrote that classic book, Leading Change, and the first thing was a sense of urgency. What's the cost of not changing? I mean, we know if we don't change, we're going to get run over. Remember that company called Kodak? They did not want to go digital.
Right.
They
We see what happened to them.
They wish they had, I've heard of them. I'm old. Blockbuster. Come on, So what I think change is going to happen to you, or it's going to happen by you and with you and for you. But it's going to happen
without you.
It's going to
happen without you.
Right. So I mean, how we handle change, and Janice, you were talking about the person that just comes in and trashes the previous, leadership, and that's insecurity exhibiting itself.
It
It's
really
about
is.
me. It's
really
about me.
is.
So we leaders shouldn't be on that frequency all the time about with them. What's in it for me? We leaders got to say what's in it for you. And meet people where they are. I think, boy, this is a great conversation. I'll say one more thing. It depends on a lot of things. Like when I was a nursing home administrator, if we were going to build, we're going to spend millions of dollars. It was a multi-million-dollar decision on whether or not we were going to build another building. I wouldn't have the nursing assistants involved in the nuts and bolts of that decision because that's not their lane. But I would explain to them, this is what we're thinking about, and this is why. So, everyone can't be involved in every decision. It depends on what the decision is, and what the details of that decision are, as much as is practicably possible, involve people. But if people can't be involved in a decision, or if a decision's already been made, don't go to them and ask for their feedback if you've already made the decision. I mean, I've seen leaders who manipulate that way and make me try to feel as if I have input when they've already made the decision.
Yeah,
that makes me mad.
Yes,
that makes me upset. So be truthful and honest about, look, gang, this decision's already been made, and I want to tell you the reasons why. And I'm sorry if it upsets you, but we had to do it quickly. Blah blah blah, whatever it is. But bring them in. And emotionally, people feel much better when you give them the dignity and the respect of understanding the why, even if a decision's been made. So this is and you shared some great examples.
C stated earlier. C used that word, the very important word, transparency. That's the key to it. Everything everybody can't do, but you always, as the leader, as the organization, can be transparent.
What helps too is they hear it from you first, not the outside. When you're cultivating that
really
trust,
you
really let it, this is what you may be hearing. This is what we're going through. Anything I say that can actually produce a negative vibe or a negative culture, I think having that quick meeting and addressing it, and it's okay to say we don't know everything, because it's showing the truth part of being a human being. But also we go through this ourselves, even as employees, as stakeholders, and everything. Just say what's going on, what and don't beat around the bush when they're asking you a question. I think that's so very important, as we're saying, that foundational aspect of trust that leads to a lot of the changes.
Vulnerability. I think it's just equally hard to say no sometimes, and it's equally hard to say I don't know. It can be very challenging for leaders to be vulnerable in that fashion.
Yeah, I was consulting with a CEO once, and I was bringing up the Brene Brown, be vulnerable. Dwayne, just using that word vulnerable, and he said, Brene Brown, she's a social work researcher. She's never done anything in the practical world. Look, I can't be leading people if they think that I don't know. Well, you know what? First of all, they already know what you don't know. You're just not admitting it. They already know. So just admit it. I mean, every person you lead is a human being, I think. AI is a whole different thing. We could talk about AI and change. But the point is honesty. If people are suspecting you're not telling the whole truth, fear enters the culture. And the honest transparency, Dwayne, is huge in terms of creating that culture. I have found, I don't go out in front of people and say, I'm a complete idiot and I'm incompetent, but I'd like to lead you. That's not that's not vulnerability. A leader has to have competence. He or she is in that position because you have some level of competence. But the fact that you don't know everything and you want input and you want people's help, you need people's help, fosters and sustains, I think, a culture. So I love that, Dwayne, what you said about transparency. Yeah, good stuff. And see,
Yeah.
you said that as well, I think. So
Yeah, transparency, and the other magic word, engagement, because I think that was what Bridget was describing with the students, and what you were describing to Gary with your example about I think it was a couple of days ago with the aides being able to set their own schedules.
yes,
You know, I mean, they feel engaged and empowered, and people, particularly those who are not used to having any authority in an organization, they feel so good,
yeah,
because it
Yeah.
recognizes them as an important part of the organization, and they'll fall on a sword for you if
mm,
they know that you care and that you truly are going to let them have some measure of say. And even if you don't do what they said, sometimes the fact that they had an opportunity to say something is often very new to them, and they're deeply appreciative for having the opportunity to express their thoughts and opinions about things.
yeah,
Yeah, that cultivating of that collaborative environment that you have, you foster that great culture of teamwork. So
Mhm.
any level of leadership you have, everyone's a leader, like we said, in any position that they have, because they become the experts too. Like we're saying, the difference you're saying, Gary, from the nursing assistant, of where we should put something that actually gives us materials and tools to do our role, perform our role, and do our job efficiently. You encourage them, to the leaders to break down the silos. You
mm,
promote that cross departmental projects for everyone to come in. Don't matter where you are. If you can contribute and it's valid, we might not use it now, but we may use your idea later. You facilitate that knowledge sharing, and
yeah,
that all begins, that helps with fostering and promoting and growing. So it gives, like, they're not fearful, like you were saying, that doubt of that change. It's okay to change, because when we change, we all were involved in it. We all had ideas. They took, and especially some of them, they took what we said and they implemented some of it.
mm.
That made us feel relevant. We're not just individuals isolated that can't do anything with the
I
company.
love that. Feel relevant. No one likes to feel irrelevant. I love that
Right.
you feel, and we shouldn't just take that for granted as
Right.
leaders.
That's
That's
empower.
not
Yeah.
just a one time thing. See, I appreciate you saying that, and I know. See, you've had some exposure to John Maxwell, and you're well aware that in his 5 levels of leadership, once you produce, you can have a one hit wonder. But you've got to sustain that and do it again and again and again. Once you produce, you start to get this thing called momentum,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
momentum, and that was referenced earlier. So how do we repeat? I'd like, maybe let's have a little bit of a discussion about how we repeat that and keep the momentum. John calls the momentum the great exaggerator. The great
Mhm.
exaggerator. What he means is it's just this vibe, this energy, because you've produced, and if you get a second year in a row, suddenly there's almost an expectation, and it would be easy to get in a kind of a relaxed atmosphere because we're winners. We're winners. No need to change. We're going to keep doing what we've been doing. Let's
Yeah.
talk about that, because we said we can't just have that attitude, because change is a coming. So what do we do in that? What do we do with that kind of challenge? I guess you'd say.
We have to honestly evaluate how well those changes are working. you know and when I say honestly evaluate, some of the folks have blinders on when they come
Mm,
in, they make a bunch of changes, and they say, oh, I did this and I did that, but can they speak to what success came from the adjustments that they made?
mm,
So we want to be able to honestly evaluate them, and tweak as needed. I think there is one of the comments from Michael. He said that recognize or acknowledge when a change needs adjustment. So yeah, you made a change. For the most part, it's working, but there's still, 70% of it may be good. There may be another 30% that you have to address. And it's a continual improvement process. And don't be ashamed, embarrassed, afraid to tweak what you did, because you're just consistently trying to get better.
Yeah, continuous quality improvement. Wasn't that something that came out of Deming, to what was it, total quality management and CQI, TQM and CQI, keep challenging yourself, because what got us here today is not going to bring us further tomorrow.
That's right. So,
And
Gary, I'd pick back off of what Janice said. I would add to that, then that comes through meaningful feedback. Again, communication is my superpower. So I'm always go back to that, because it's important, whether it's other people's superpower or not. And when I say that, everybody communicates. But as I said, I'm a certified DISC instructor. So I'm always talking about you being in the lane of what your strength is. And so that meaningful feedback is so, but I'm sitting here laughing. Before I say that, I want to say this, Gary, like, you're throwing these people out. I was like, Gary is taking us to college. We are literally on to get a PhD. Because he's throwing out all the gurus, the real gurus of leadership. All right. But Gary, I was just going to add about the feedback. When I got my first coach as a leader, he said this to me. He said, Bridget, feedback is the breakfast of champions. And so feedback, making sure that you have meaningful feedback that's going back and forth. You got the change that's happening, but then what are you doing within the organization, within the team, as you are having all of those things moving? Because you got all these moving parts, but you got the human parts too, that you got to make sure while you're over here worrying about the governance and having all of those pieces, are you also structuring, again, your human elements and building on that relational capacity, not in so much of trying to have strong relationship with people. And this time I'm talking about recognizing them, praising them, having those one-on-ones. I caught mine 03s. And so I met with everybody, all of my direct reports, and I had to start again making sure, as we were talking about this yesterday, and I think Janice brought this out, making sure that they're talking, they're communicating, they're elaborating. If stuff is going on and life is life in them, are you going to get the productivity out of the human part that's going to help you with whatever your organization does on the other part? So in order to get the results, we have to make sure that there's lots of meaningful feedback. And I think C said it earlier, and I was hitting on it when I was talking about the innovation and the risk taking. Then you also got to make sure that it's a safe place. It really is a safe place, that people are having constructive criticism, and not, as Martha shared with us yesterday, the criticism that then tears people down. And I don't even like using the word criticism, but it's kind of almost other people say that. So I want them to kind of recognize that, but making sure, again, it's constructive, is not to pull people down. And so one of the things that I just want to suggest out there, if people are leaders, I have a 3-to-1 ratio. If you're meeting with somebody and you're offering feedback to them, then are you giving 3-to-1? Are you doing 3 positives to the one thing that you're trying to get them to correct? Because if they hear all of the negative, all they're going to do is go the other way. And so we want to build that up. And the reason why I'm saying that is because, again, if you're going to sustain transformational leadership, you're going to sustain that cultural, that organization, again, the people, unless you work with a whole bunch of robots, you got to deal with the people.
Yeah, somebody once told me, if somebody says, I've got some constructive criticism for you, you better run, because they're emphasizing the criticism, maybe some constructive feedback.
Yes.
One of the things we have to be honest with the feedback. And a lot of leaders want to be efficient with their feedback, and that doesn't work. You ever seen people come in to a room maybe of 100, and they're like a politician? Hey, good job, good job, good job. Yeah, hey. And they're pointing to people. You see politicians come into, and they're pointing at people, kind of giving this impression that I know you. But you know what? A lot of times I'm on the receiving end of that, and I'm thinking, you don't even know my name. You don't even know what I do. You do not know the pain I'm going through. Don't come in here and say good job when you don't even know me. So the feedback, I think, has to be bathed in a culture of honesty. honesty, and
Yeah.
the implicit dishonesty of that kind of dynamic makes people shake their head, put their head down, and say, I'm just going to survive this thing, earn my coins, do my job, and get out of here, because I don't trust that person. And you know, these are very subtle but very powerful things in terms of building and sustaining, I think, a winning culture, because you're basically, you know, you're patronizing me. And who likes to be manipulated and patronizing? I ain't signing up for that. Not anymore. So I love what you said, you know, about that, Bridget, in terms of it's constructive 3-1, because there are wonderful things about people, but we don't always look at that. We look at the negative, because we want to fix things that are broken rather than applaud things that are working.
Right.
And you know, we need to. I know I need to work on that as a leader, because I naturally gravitate to the fixing
And it's
mentality.
also important. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And it's also important to be even-handed with it. I think I may have gone out. Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes.
It's
Yeah, I hear
important
you
to be even-handed with it. If an employee perceives that he or she is being singled out and picked on,
now.
you know, there's a huge problem there. But if the pattern in the organization is that the leader deals with everybody in the same way, it's going to be a lot better received.
Yes.
Great point.
That's a
I
good
think
point.
too. Yeah, that's real good. I think too, momentum. And you brought John Maxwell in, and the first thing came to mind was the big mo. You know, the big motive, the big mo to motivation, right? And I think sometimes you definitely just have to pass the ball off. You know, you can't be a ball hog in the game of leadership. If you want to pick up momentum, give opportunity to other leaders to showcase what they can truly do, and be willing to let them make mistakes. Right? What you'll be surprised is what the leader brings to the table and how they may impact the culture, because in some cases they may everybody may not have seen their value when you think from a behavioral perspective, because their mindset is in a positional mindset. But when you release them from their stagnant mindset and you help them develop this growth mindset, they may show up for you a little different, and you might just say, you know what, you open up for us today, this morning. You got a little something. I see that interactive. I see how you love to respond to people. I see that energy in you, you know. And so you don't know how you may just passing the ball off may pick up momentum for the whole team as a whole.
Yeah, that's great, Dwayne.
I think on that momentum aspect also, what we forget, we need to encourage and model that self-care to keep that momentum going. You know, leaders, they should set that example by practicing the self-care and emphasize the importance, whether if it's a team building activity or just something, you know, taking breaks, prioritizing the health, and just and especially managing stress effectively, because everyone deals with stress and pressure differently based on it. So, and the other aspect I believe too is, you know, a personalized approach to the leadership that you're doing. Understand, as we are all speaking, that team member is unique. They have different motivations, different challenges. And as we said, we have different learning styles as we apply and utilize the DISC in different manners of leadership styles, your behaviors, your tendencies, what you prefer to do. You tailor that leadership approach, you know, to suit their needs. What can they give back? Individualized and personalizing it, that feedback, as we said, the development plans and those motivational strategies, especially when you take that cross departmental. Also, you have certain representatives that come in. So as we said, everyone can't contribute, but maybe we can assign different employees for different sections, different departments that can be that voice and also be heard. But I do feel that part of the modeling that self-care aspect, it shows that, as we often say, a work-life balance that comes into part. So showing that it's not just about work and who you are, we also care about your outside of work things that are going on. Because as we said, we have different challenges going on. We have different things. We have a life too outside of work.
I think that's good too, C. Morgan, because I think we overlook that aspect of practicing self-care, right? And I think we all looking for harmony and balance in life, man. And if you're mindful about what you need as a leader, and that's gonna pay dividends for the team.
Yes, some of the most powerful things aren't even spoken. I mean, we all know that classic study, that people only remember 7% of what you say, the actual words of what you say. Everything else, is tone of voice, body language, those kinds of things. The other 93%. So much of this leadership is caught rather than taught. I remember, when I got my first nursing home administrator job, I came in and I said in the hearing of other people, I was just joking. I said, woo, I'm heading up my first business and we made payroll. And it kind of ripped through, like, the new guy Hibbs is happy we made payroll. Are we in trouble? What's going on? What's happening? Everything as a leader that you do and say, all of it, even though 7% is just the words, but those are important too. But everything we do, it's caught rather than necessarily taught. So who am I? Who am I as the leader? And I think you said that really, really well in terms of all of this. What am I modeling? People follow what they see. No pun intended, see, but they follow what they see.
No problem.
Yeah. So Bridget, I know that we're coming close. I love this. I want to go another hour. I know we can't, but time-wise, I think we're coming towards the end.
Listen, I know. I'm like, I'm going to do the color purple. I don't want to let you all go. But yeah, we're wrapping down. We're winding around. We can go on and close out with our last thoughts. So let's go around. We can start with C, and then Janice, Dwayne, Gary, and then I can close it out. Okay. So C, what's your last thoughts?
I think be the seed that you want to actually nourish and fertile in the mindset that's going to cultivate transformational leadership. That's the biggest thing I can see, and how much you want it to grow, because what we plant in our mind is what are we going to do? Are we being selfless or selfish? Are we just thinking I instead of reflecting and turning that around to we when cultivating transformation? Because we need we don't always need the I. The I helps motivate and move things in our leadership lanes. But I think the biggest part is plant the seed that you want to see nourished and be proud of, but also you be willing to change, bloom, and prune at the same time.
Good. Look, wait a minute. We're gonna be like Kevin Hart. You just gonna say that? You just gonna say that? Leave that right there. And then we gotta end. That's a whole nother conversation right there. Thank you. Really that was powerful. That was
Thanks
powerful.
For that,
Go ahead, Janice.
Yes, I will close with just the thought that leaders shouldn't be afraid. And we find a lot of times when we're either afraid to make a change, we're afraid to allow our employees to be a part of making the change, we're afraid that we're going to be compared to the previous leader. Let all that go. And focus on what is best for the customers you serve, both internal and external. Just operate with courage. It is the way to do the best that you can, and operate with folks by your side. Don't be afraid to pull them in and let them be a part of the process. It takes courage to be vulnerable, as we talked about earlier, but it's okay, because we want people to truly be a part of what's going on. We want people to feel like you're being transparent, and we want people to ensure, to help you ensure that the organization goes in a great direction.
See, y'all wrong for doing these at the end. Lord, that was good. Come on, somebody drop a nugget that is watching and listening. That was a nugget. Come on, Dwayne. They showing out in these last few minutes, Dwayne.
Yes, they are. They breaking it hard for you, boy. I feel like I had to go deep in my back pocket for this one, Gary, but I'm going to keep it simple, right? So I'm just going to say, man, as leaders, man, we want to show up as our best selves, man. And so what does that look like for you? Who do you desire to be, and how will you show up? I got it. I believe in having the winning attitude. So bring your best game. Carry that MVP with you. Identify your mission, the vision, and purpose, and align it with the organization's goals and dreams and visions. And let's support the people that we come to support by leading by example.
Oh, man.
Nuggets falling.
Let me finish my notes before I start talking.
I know. That's what I'm
Wow.
over here trying to take notes and do this at the same time.
I love it. And I talk about unleash the lead. We got to be unleashed from fear. I love, Janice, what you said, unleash, be courageous. Courage is not the absence of fear, or it wouldn't be called courage. It wouldn't be courageous if you didn't have some level of fear, but don't let it rule the day. You can come along the ride with me, but sit in the back seat because I'm driving. Don't let fear rule the day. So we have to continue to develop ourselves to get emotionally equipped and not let our feelings rule everything. But I've got to be solid before I can do solid in terms of helping other people. So I really have to work on myself. So I think the constant self-development is one thing that pops out for me, because that's where it starts. My own mindset.
I thought you was getting ready to go on some more, Gary.
Oh, I got more, but we don't have more time.
That was good. Well, I'm gonna put mine up on the screen so I won't be long-winded. Listen, here's mine right here. I just want to go out with saying sustaining is an ongoing process. So it's going to require commitment and adaptability. And so we were talking about that today. We need to be flexible. We need to make sure that we're moving and everything, and that needs are ever they're evolving. And so as the needs evolve, we have to be very, very flexible. And so the thing that I would suggest to everybody is inspect what you expect and keep on adapting. Here, I put up my thing and everything. I am Bridget Brown Jackson. My website is bridgetbrownjackson.com. All righty, I'm gonna come on out here so we can see everybody. Hey, everybody! This has been really, really wonderful. We are at the top of the hour, and if you're listening to this and this was really, really great, come on, give us some feedback. Let us know how much this blessed you. If you're watching this, even months later or weeks later or days later, I guess I should have went the other way, days, weeks, and months. Listen, let us know that this blessed you, because this might be a show that might be coming back to you real soon. We did a series like this back in August. Several of us were on, and we were talking about Lencioni's 5 dysfunctions of a team, starting out with trust, and that was just phenomenal. This time we did the transformational leadership, and we want to continue to do those and everything. So we would love to hear everybody. Anybody, anything else really quick about future? Why should the people come back? Why should they be listening to this? Because we want, I'll say it for me, is we don't want any leader left behind. How about you all?
No.
I love that. No leader left behind, and leaders are learners. So be a practitioner of your profession. Yeah, if any reason, be a practitioner.
Yep.
Right.
Love it. Well,
I can say it any better, so I won't add anything.
I got nothing.
Leaders are learners.
That was great, Dwayne. Thanks.
See?
For me, it's just we're here to serve and learn with each other. There's, like I said before, there's no I, it's a we. So we're here to serve you and learn from you, but also do it gracefully and with integrity.
Yes. And if you happen to be listening to this and watching this and you want to know how to get in touch with us, if you drop it in whatever thread that you're listening to, I'm quite sure that person whose thread you're on will link you up with the person that you want to be linked up with. If you heard, Gary has so many years experience and he just over there being a professor. Dwayne in the background trying to be all chill, but he is a firehouse. You all heard my girl Janice. I'm trying to catch up with her. She said, I always talk about I had multi-million dollar organizations that I led. And she was like, I had 2,000 people. And she's not saying that in bragging. That's what she's done. And so she's good at that. And then my girl C, y'all heard her with her. She has a podcast called Analytical. Okay, I'm gonna mess it up. See, what's it called?
Analytical chaos.
Analytical chaos. I was about to say it right then. Analytical chaos, because she is always analyzing things, but to make you have this thing with you. So if any of the people, and then yesterday we had Letitia Russell on, amazing, has her own HR consultant business. All of us are speakers. And so if you are looking at having anybody on this panel, reach out and we will make sure you know how to network. And if we can't help you, my favorite saying is, I know we can find somebody that can. All righty. God bless everybody. Hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. whenever you're watching this, because you'll be watching this at night. We just hope you have a great, great time. Be a
Right.
great leader and know that you're not out there alone. You have people that are willing to help you. Bye.